giving the background to the Myles Turner topic on some very interesting comments, that he made recently on the Ball in the Family podcast with Lonzo Ball. That really surprised me when I heard them. And I was kind of just giving my background on how I feel about when guys compare across errors and they're very disrespectful to the players of the past. So before we go ahead and play those things, man, what are your thoughts on that, Sneak?
How do the modern NBA players discuss the past genre eras of basketball?
Yeah, modern NBA players and modern NBA fans and media, really, just the modern NBA ecosystem.
The only real problem I have with the modern NBA players and ecosystem discussing past eras is often their commentary is ill-informed, misinformed. It's not really, they don't include all parts of it when they discuss it. They'll take something and they kind of run with it. They take one thing and they try to mass characterize it and personify or characterize it in one singular way. And unfortunately, that's not how that works, because even when we discuss the modern NBA, it's the same thing. We also need to include all context.
Right.
So when you take the broad brush and you start with the strokes, are you including all angles of analysis? You know, they'll say things like, they didn't have this, they didn't have that, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Well, let's discuss the things that they did do. And if you are unable to identify the strengths of an era, then you really should not be discussing it, because you're not really going to be detailed in all, objective and detailed in your analysis. They don't watch it. So how would they know it? When you, like, I'll just hark back to Anthony Edwards. He said the only skilled player back then was Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, in and of itself, you have just disqualified your ability to talk and discuss on it.
Right.
So, you know, and it's always, it's broad brushes. You just can't do that. It's why we don't do it today. And if anything, we're very, very detailed about the modern NBA because we're in it, right? So there's so much attention to it. But I think that's the bigger issue, the lack of objectivity about the past from the modern players and the ecosystem. It's strictly defensive. They just talk like, and I'm not talking about defensive like in the game. I'm talking about defensive as in they're defending their era because they think they're under attack. They're not under attack. We're simply saying that there are things about this game that are imperfect today, just like there were things about the previous eras of the game that were imperfect.
That's right.
Like, so, and I can acknowledge those things, and I think it's important to include all those things. The unfortunate part is these modern ecosystems are very loud, right? They're the predominant thing that's in front of everybody. So anybody who walks into the NBA today as a little kid, they start watching the league. If they're listening to all these things, they're gonna think to themselves, it was archaic. Cavemen were trying to dribble a basketball, and it was bad. And that's just not true.
Right.
And the really sad part is the guys today, the game got here because the guys before, even in the structure of the game, like the techniques, the skills, they modeled their game off of someone. Nobody's doing anything original.
Yeah, Kyrie modeled his game off his godfather Rod Strickland.
That's how, and I modeled some of my strategic classroom management skills from my mentor. And I adopted some of my own things, but there's still things that you intertwine and build off of. And it's just really, it's bad for the brand of the NBA to have a disconnect. Like nothing else mattered before, and now these guys are so much better, and vice versa too. Can't do that either. You know, like but I think what it boils down to, Bruce, they just feel like they're under attack, and it's just a defense mechanism. They're putting up a guard and a shield. They think they're under attack.
So I would push back a little bit. I don't think that the previous generation is attacking them. My thought has always been, and it starts from the top down in terms of the NBA media and the NBA front office, they know that the product that they're putting out there is not the same caliber of the product that was out there in the 90s and early 2000s. And the easiest, most simple answer for this is, if the game is so much better today and the people love it so much more, why was Michael Jordan's Game 6, the Bulls and the Jazz in 1998, still the most watched NBA basketball game of all time? It's that simple.
The one thing that's missing,
so much better. Go ahead.
The one thing that's missing clearly, I think objectively, the game is less competitive for more of the season.
Mm-hmm.
The game is less competitive, and I think it just harks to the mentality of the player. There's a great amount of players who are making so much money that they're distracted by other things.
That's true.
And I'm not here to judge anybody. There's people in the NBA who are playing because they make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if they win, cool. If they don't win, cool. It's no skin off of their back. I heard one of the greatest NBA players of all time say that.
Yeah.
My life is unchanged, even though I didn't win.
That's right. That's right.
See what I'm saying? So, and that's one of the greatest players of all time who said that.
Yeah, I can go back tomorrow to living my great life.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if that's the mentality, if that's how some of these guys are thinking, then it explains a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the way I look at it, Bruce, is the best era of basketball is the one that has the most competition, because when we talk about products and services, all we want is competition.
Yeah.
When you start losing competition, prices start going up, the quality of service starts to decrease. It's just economics. We as fans, all we want is ultra competitive hoops.
Mm-hmm. So let me respond to Edward. Edward put a comment in here. Let me put it up. He talks, where is it? He says there was a video of Bill Russell, Mr. Russell, God bless the dead, and Wilt Chamberlain, God bless the dead, talking about today's centers. They did this video around 1995 or 96, right around that time, just prior to Wilt's passing, right? Anyway, I'm not sure why Edward is bringing that up. He likes to make a false equivalency there because he's shown me that before and tried to make the argument that they were crapping on the players of that era, which they absolutely were not. They didn't denigrate them in any way, but they were asked, what would they do if they played in that era? And Wilt, being Wilt, I think he said something along the lines of like, I dominate, right? He did not in any way talk badly about the era. He didn't talk badly about the players, but Wilt being Wilt and knowing the superhuman things that Wilt could do on a basketball court says I would dominate. Why did Wilt also say that? Do we know that in the 1980s, Wilt was in his 50s and still receiving NBA contract offers? In his 50s, right? We know this. This is a fact. Some of you may not know this, Edward.
That's crazy.
But the fact is, when you are dominant to that level, of course you're going to say, I'm going to dominate. But he didn't say, oh, these players today are garbage. This era is trash. He didn't say anything like that. The great Mr. Russell didn't say anything like that. But them in their confidence and knowing what they did as players, they said, yo, we'd go get busy, right? I think they asked Wilt like how he would fare against Shaquille, and they asked Mr. Russell the same question, and they both said the same thing, that they would run Shaq out and basically tire him out. Now we know Wilt was what? An All-American in track, right? 400, 800, high jump, long jump, triple jump, right? 100-meter, All-American, set multiple Big 8, which is now the Big 12, conference championship, conference records in those events, right? So we know that he's saying, yo, in my prime, I would run Shaq up and down and he wouldn't be able to keep up with me. We know that the great Mr. Russell, when he left college, he was the number 7 ranked high jumper on earth, right? So another elite track athlete. So he's also saying, because even if you watch the highlights back when Mr. Russell was playing, he was at center. He's always beating everyone down the floor. So he's saying we would run these guys out, right? So he's not saying they can't play. He's not talking about the style of play. They didn't say anything like that. So to clarify, Edward, who always makes false equivalencies, they didn't disrespect the current era at that time. They merely stated what they would do. So you gotta get it right when you're bringing that up, because that's not moment.
If you have Hall of Fame talent in an era, they'll be Hall of Fame talent in any other era. I don't
always believe that, Steve.
Okay, so
you put James Harden in the 90s, that dude's not a Hall of Famer. No way. James Harden.
James Harden's not a Hall of Famer now.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's no question.
This is the problem. When they start like allowing a guy to break rules, it's pandering to whatever the thing is the league is trying to achieve, more points or more pace. I don't. If I put James Harden next to these other Hall of Famers, he's like, it doesn't fit. It's the square peg, the round hole. You're just like all these other, but like that's a different problem. The NBA Hall or the Basketball Hall of Fame, it's too easy to get in. That's a different issue.
Facts.
But all I'm saying is, if a guy can average a bunch of points and get a bunch of blocks and get a bunch of steals and do winning, you have to think if it's fundamentally shrouded in talent, skill, like that converts. Like people say that LeBron wouldn't be he wouldn't be able to hang in these older eras because he's not tough. I disagree. I think LeBron would have actually toughened up. We actually would have got a better version of LeBron if he was to come up in the 1980s. He would have had to have adjusted. He wouldn't have been flopping. He would have been probably more skilled sooner. His peak would have came sooner, and we would have got a longer peak offensive version of LeBron. Bro, these guys would have played differently, right? They would have been adjusted.
No, and believe me, let me make it clear. Y'all know I'm not a LeBron guy. However, I'm not stupid enough to say LeBron couldn't play back then, right? But I am curious to know. I don't think that he has the same level of career that he does now, because I don't think that he would have been a power forward. I doubt they would have let him play, so heliocentrically the way but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, so he would have been a different player, but we still would have got an all-time great that would have still been in these conversations that we have today. Like where we talk about how he's one of the best ever, that's still a thing. I don't care if you put him in the 50s or the 90s.
What about KD?
Yeah, Kevin, you know what? Kevin Durant would have been tougher. Okay. We would have saw a different version of KD. He would have been tougher. He may have been more like what we saw with like how Kareem, like the way that they kind of put Kareem into his position. You may have seen Kevin Durant more into a position. Kevin Durant sort of was a hybrid, like big guard, small forward. He didn't play. For sure. So like we may have seen something a little bit more traditional from KD,
right?
But he still would have been getting buckets, bro.
So what you're saying, Sneed, is more so that these guys, because I always look at it, because when you get people like in the Edward camp, right, they talk about how the players today are so much more skilled, so much better. And my thought is always, if you put them as they are back then, they don't do what they're doing. They don't. Now, I get your point. If they grow up in that era, they're trained in that era, mentally conditioned, physically conditioned in that era, we get a different player.
Yeah.
Possibly an even better player.
Yes. Right? Yes. True.
Because I look at it and I point to it all the time. When Ime Udoka was coaching the Celtics, completely locked up Kevin Durant in the playoffs. And that was just getting a taste of what he would have gotten in the playoffs in the 90s, right? So it's interesting. But anyway, this is good, Sneed. So this takes us right into the commentary by Myles Turner on the Ball in the Family podcast, which, again, really surprised me. So let's hear what Myles Turner had to say, because this is super interesting. By the way, anyone who has maybe little kids in the room or anything like that, please forgive me. I didn't get an opportunity to kind of bleep out some of the profanity and some of the racial slurs. So bear with me if you want to cover your kids' ears or send them out of the room or whatever. Okay, so we'll listen to Myles Turner now.
Do you think in this era of the NBA, it's underappreciated by old head NBA?
Bro, they just, of course, of course. Bro, at the end of the day, bro, this shit about our bread, right? Like, they feel like they paved the way for us and they're not getting their dividends. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So basically, a role player now, or maybe even a subsidiary role player, is making what the superstars is making back then.
Right, right.
So when old heads watch us and they see a nigga averaging 13, 14 points, but they getting the same bread that someone was averaging 30 back in the day, right. Of course they're gonna feel a type of way. You know what I mean? Game is game, love is love, but like, you got to call it what it is. Now, I don't think it should be that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all putting y'all's work so we can live the way that we live. And of course, I think that we got to show more respect as the younger hoopers or whatnot to the older generation. I feel like it's times where it's like, nah, that nigga wasn't like that, or man, that nigga yada yada. But like, bro, the NBA was a lot different back then, bro. The way they ref the NBA was a lot different. You know what I'm saying? But
I want your opinion on 90s, early 2000s basketball. Like,
tougher brand of basketball, especially in the Eastern Conference. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you came over here, bro, like you wasn't going in the paint, bro. Like nowadays you cut, you have freedom of movement. That wasn't a thing back then, bro. You go into the paint back then, and you get an elbow to your throat, crazy. Like you down, like you getting chucked every time you roll. Like niggas wasn't catching lobs like that. There's a reason, bro. And they let a lot of shit rock. Honestly, it was a lot more physical. So yeah, to score 20 points a game back then, bro, you got to be cold-blooded motherfucker, bro, for real. Like it's not the same, bro. It isn't.
So y'all heard what Myles Turner, a current NBA player who grew up in this generation, was trained in this generation, plays in this league. He came out and he told the truth. What are your thoughts on what he had to say, Sneed?
I mean, it's solid commentary. I thought he was pretty thoughtful in it. The angle about the money is important. I think there's truth to that. I think, when you talk about money, it's a factor, like to the benefit of the players of today. The only thing I would push back on for Myles Turner, saying, he kind of had the angle of like they kind of hate or are jealous that players can make more money now, like especially like when he talked about average players or whatever. I don't know if there's hate. I don't think so.
I gotta be honest, Sneed. I think there is from some guys, because I'll tell you, if I were
but with the word hate, I mean that implies something very powerful. So I don't think there's hate. I think there's some jealousy.
There you go.
You know, like they're jealous or even envious in some ways. I mean, those are powerful words. They mean a lot. So I'm sure they wish they made more money. And because they were former players, there's that part of them that still competes. So they're like, I was really good. I was playing. So they feel like they're warranted to receive some recognition and they're not really getting it maybe. The thing about some players though, they can be recognized and still think that they're underappreciated.
That's true.
That happens too. So there's some of the human elements to this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I look at it, right? Here's an example. And I'm not saying this was the case, because Reggie Miller, he's been on commentary for years and he's always been extremely complimentary of the modern game and modern players. So much so to sometimes that he's lying flat out on camera, right? But not the point. The point is, if I'm Reggie Miller, right? Arguably one of the greatest shooters of all time, I would be frustrated that I wasn't getting the love and the due, because I'm thinking, if I played today where they would let me shoot 15 threes in a game, when he entered the league, the average in an NBA game, both teams was 8 3-point attempts, both teams. Now it's upwards of, 80, 90, right? Between both teams. So if I'm Reggie, I'm probably pissed, right? Reggie, Glenn Rice, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Well, maybe not Mahmoud. He's much more humble now. But you know what I'm saying? All those great shooters of the past. I know they're sitting around like, you gotta be kidding me. Like they're talking about how great these shooters are. These shooters don't get bumped when they're moving off ball. You know what I'm saying? These shooters, they're not getting hand checked up and down the court, so they still have legs late in games to be pulling up for all these deep threes. Like it was so different back then, right? And I would say that if I was an elite shooter who played in the 80s and the 90s, maybe even early 2000s, and I'm hearing all this about these players today, I'm like, come on, we're being disingenuous. So to your point, it's not hate. There is some jealousy, and I think there is some bother that the recognition isn't there. Shout out, man, down Mel. Appreciate you being here in the chat, brother. Thank you for the inspiration always, man. So those were Myles Turner's comments, but it doesn't end there, guys, because we've got some more stuff, right? So, again, I often get called a hater or what have you for the stances that I have on these things, right? But let's take also into account, because we heard Myles Turner talking about how physical the game was and how guys defended, right? So we know Stu Jackson, I believe former Knicks head coach, former NBA player, former Knicks front office person, and former NBA senior vice president of basketball operations and executive vice president of basketball operations. I would assume, guys, for those—
one hell of a resume.
That's right. So this is not me. I would assume, I want to make sure, Edward, that we can acknowledge that this is a guy who knows what he's talking about when it comes to basketball, not just, my Uncle Joe that I pulled out of the closet somewhere who said something. Now that that's established, right? No, because, they think I make stuff up, Sneed. You know that, right? We
don't do that here.
Because there you go. We do the research and we talk what we talk. But Stu Jackson stated, right, These are some of his comments. The hand checking rule, the biggest change in 04-05 was stricter enforcement of rules prohibiting defensive players from putting a hand or forearm on an offensive player to impede their movement, which is known as hand checking. And then the forearm check after the hand check, right? Okay. This gave perimeter offensive players like guards and wings much more freedom to drive and create shots. Jackson's rationale. Stu Jackson in the NBA emphasized that these rules were designed to reduce excessive physical play, curbing excessive physical plays, and protecting the offensive players.
Pause. What have we seen happen to the league? What has happened to the NBA center?
He's basically gone out of fashion or turned into a perimeter player.
Those two things.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen centers fuse into wing players.
That's right. Yep.
We have seen the game move out away from the hoop. We have seen distance and space become abundant.
Yeah.
They literally did this on purpose. It was by design. They wanted to open up the game. They wanted to create space so smaller players were more impactful.
Yep.
They enabled the guard. Right? The guard doesn't need to be tough anymore.
Nope.
The guard used to have to be tough.
To go into the paint among the trees. Absolutely.
Trae Young gets to be Trae Young now.
Right. So also Stu Jackson, once again, who held multiple positions in the New York Knicks and NBA league front office, right? So he's speaking based on what he knows, not my Uncle Joe that I just pulled out of the closet. Stu Jackson, he says, also, they increase freedom of movement, making the game more free-flowing, fluid, and wide open, as Snead just said so eloquently. Also, to improve aesthetics and scoring, intending to produce a higher scoring, more aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball. Now, when I say the rules were changed to make the game easier for the players today, I'm a hater who never played. I never played, right? I didn't play any high-level basketball. I'm a hater who never played high-level basketball who doesn't know what he's talking about. Cool. Fine. I'll give you that. I'm a hater, never played high-level, don't know what I'm talking about. But if y'all remember, those of you who heard the last members-only show I did, remember, I'm the guy who don't just stab people, I twist the knife. See, that's what's happening now, right? Since I don't know what I'm talking about, I get the information from guys who do. So we know, per Stu Jackson, that they took away the physicality. We know that they made it easier for the offensive player, out of his mouth, not mine, pause. And we know that they made it to improve aesthetics and scoring. So now how do we take all these super crazy offensive numbers that we see, Jokic, LUKA, SGA, all these guys who are very good players, some great players, but how do we put it on the same level as guys who had to deal with a much greater degree of difficulty? But let's go some more. So here we go. According to Stu Jackson, former senior VP of basketball operations, the new rules discourage bigger players from staying in the middle of the lane and preventing passing player movement, and therefore improving shooting percentage closer to the basket. The rules also speed up ball movement to the front court, bring about full court press, as well as reduce disruption by touch foul calls. So everything we're hearing, so now the defenders in the paint have been taken away. So then you see guys like Jokic getting busy and dominating in the paint and also not doing their job defensively for the most part. Like, we have to tell the truth when we talk about this stuff. But I know some of you still won't believe me. So guess what? I've got one more thing for you. In 2022, Kevin Garnett sat down with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. You remember that, Snead? I'm sure you heard that. Kevin Garnett sat down with Adam Silver, and he asked him about if we're ever going to see the hand check come back, because we know KG is one of the best defenders in the history of the game. So let's hear real quick what they had to say, and then we'll go on, wrap up this topic, and take some calls. At the end of the day, I love what Myles Turner had to say. He told the truth. I know a lot of y'all hate that, but guess what? Right now, I'm in the mood. I'm twisting the knife. Let's go.
When I'm watching today's game, I feel like I'm downloading the latest play. And what I mean by that is, obviously we can go through each age and see the game and the style of how it's played. When I watch now, points are like 144, I think I saw the other night, and 125. And I remember being in some All-Star games where I think we scored maybe 144, 140. Like, is the high scoring working? Is speeding the game up? I asked this with a follow-up because I want to know, will there ever be a time in our lives where the hand check comes back? Is that going? Is this kind of the wave in which we're going now?
I'll answer it coming from the fan in me, which is, and maybe data comes into play here because I can look at television ratings and other measures of interest. Yeah. There was a point, I believe, probably in around the late 90s when the game became too physical. And I think we lost some of
our viewers, you mean?
Yeah, and I think for our fans, from the aesthetic enjoyment of the game.
Why is he saying that, though, when, again, the ratings were at their peak in that time? Why does he say that? And it's crazy because we have the means now because people are going to say, well, people watch TV differently now, but we can track ratings from TV. We can track it from cable. We can track it from streaming, So there's all these different ways to consume the NBA product. So the ratings should be up now, right? Don't you think that if the ratings were up, people were watching more NBA, the NBA would be bragging about that as a league, screaming it from the rooftops of their front office in New York City? They would, right? So if that's the case, why do we still see better overall ratings back then? So he is sitting here lying to KG and lying to us as if our brains don't work. That's bothersome to me.
You know what's happening, Bruce?
What's that, Sneak?
The NBA has more competition for people's eyeballs. There's other things that people can watch that they're preferring over the NBA product because the NBA is not competing as well as it did before. Whatever the NBA is doing now that they've changed or modified, or the evolution of the game in terms of how they present it from an entertainment standpoint, there's other things that have moved past them. So I don't know what is showing on your Netflix account. I don't know what is showing in terms of the movie space or the shows or genres of TV or sports, NFL, baseball, hockey. When I think about all the competitors, whatever the NBA is competing with in those 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock windows, people are still watching TV and live sports and shows and movies. Why are they consuming less NBA? Why are they still consuming, but consuming other things than the NBA? The NBA needs to be asking themselves this question. Why are we less competitive with other forms of entertainment? And why are we pretending like it's not our fault? See, this is a simple business concept. If there's 5 competitors or if there's 10 competitors, it now changes everything because now there's bits and pieces to take and they're going to fiercely compete for the attention of people. It appears to me that the NBA is not competing as well as they used to. People are preferring to watch other things.
There you go. Facts. All right, let's continue with Kevin Garnett and Adam Silver. And Edward, I don't know why you're asking me about what KG said. This is about Adam Silver's commentary. But as usual, you want to move the goalpost and move in ways that aren't particularly masculine. So let's carry on.
Where it de-emphasized the particular skill a player had and maybe weighted too heavily physicality, where a big, strong player could come in and prevent a incredibly skilled player from doing those kinds of things. I think of, not that he's a small guy, but a smaller player like Steph Curry can do on the floor. I think that when you think of some of his ability to shoot, his ability to move through the paint, that if guys could just bang him and knock him to the ground, as that was once the case in the league, I don't think that would be a better brand of basketball.
Yo, so let me ask you, right? He talks about Steph and okay, he makes whatever point he wants to make. I disagree with it. Let me ask you this. Why do we revere Isaiah Thomas as a basketball player the way we do?
Tough as nails.
Okay.
Tough as nails. In an era that was dominated by bigs and paint enforcement, he fearlessly played the game and achieved and succeeded and was incredible.
There you go. Same way we feel about Allen Iverson, right? Yeah. Same way we feel about that guy. Yeah. Fearless in attacking the paint, fearless in attacking the rim, was going to do whatever it took. So nobody made it easier for those guys, and we respected them more, right? Steph Curry, as great a shooter as he is, as incredible a player as he is, they literally did make it easier for him, right?
But Bruce,
yes,
the thing is the NBA is capitalizing off of Steph Curry.
Oh, sure.
If Steph Curry was a regular guy, average guy, like so not a superstar and not able to do superhuman 3-point shooting distance threes, he's less marketable. So like they've been able to manufacture Steph Curry.
Sure.
They made a better version of Steph Curry. Steph Curry is in discussions as an all-time great point guard. These are discussions being had about him.
Oh, if he wins again, will he be the greatest point guard of all time? What?
So, but who benefits off of that? The league does.
Yeah, for sure.
The league is in a position to where they're trying to make stars. Bro, they're still milking Steph Curry, and he is injury prone, and he's getting older, and they're still putting him on Christmas games.
No doubt. I mean, he's still exciting to watch. He's still entertaining. There's no question, right?
Right. But if this was a different era playing by different rules, he's broken down. Probably he had ankle problems in the beginning of his career.
Yeah, for sure.
They got a lot. They really like this is the kid that's 9 years old that's still trying to ride the big wheel. They're really milking this. Like this is bro. Like David Stern and Adam Silver look at the league very differently. I know they say Adam Silver, David Stern was his mentor. They play this really differently.
Very differently.
Yeah, players are bigger than the NBA now. And that's not how it was. I mean, it's always been a star-driven league. That's not really any different. But it's a different cultural thing in terms of what the NBA does as a culture. You have Adam Silver, who views his players as partners. David Stern viewed the players as employees.
Well, how can you be my partner when I'm paying you? You're not my partner. That's just like completely illogical. That's totally.
I'm not surprised by any of the things Adam Silver is saying. I've already said these things, thought these things myself. I'm just getting confirmations.
Right. No doubt. Let's continue with Adam Silver.
I also think we have to find the right balance, because I know when I sit in the stands or talk to friends sometime, they want to bring back, and we've tried to bring back a little bit more of the physicality. Like, I think people like to see hard defense. I mean, it goes a little bit before to what you and I are talking about, like touch and feel. Like, I don't think either people like that idea that guys can go through unscathed and like you're protecting your star players. I like where we're going in terms of that brand of basketball. In terms of scoring for its own sake, I don't necessarily think what fans tune into is just to see scoring.
So he's lying right now, because we just heard Stu Jackson say that they legitimately did this to boost scoring. Yeah. So now he's sitting here lying. See, this is what I talk about.
This is lip service. He's speaking out of both sides of his mouth.
Yes. Yeah. It's very easy to fact check all this stuff, but what I realize is people know they can say anything because most people aren't going to do the research. That's just what it is. All right, let's continue.
For its own sake, because that's where I think people want to see real defense.
Yeah. So, well, KG's not a real journalist, so he couldn't really push back. But I probably would have had Stu Jackson's commentary there and said, "Well, Adam, how do you reconcile what you're saying with what Stu Jackson said here?" He's probably going to give you some amalgam of, well, that was 2 decades ago, blah, blah, blah. The game has changed, the players did, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, well, that's around the time when all of this that we're discussing, actually made the change. So it is, I don't know, it's interesting. But getting back to the original point of this topic, I love that Myles Turner came out, told the truth, told it as it is, right? And he could tell the truth without saying, like, yo, today is crap. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying today is crap. But what we are saying is it's disingenuous the way they constantly try to denigrate the past and the past players. It just is, So. Yeah, so Gene Beasley, that's a great question. How can Curry be ranked the greatest point guard when he's 28th in assists? So I think and Sneed and I have talked about this in Transformer as well, that a lot of what we define as a point guard, I think by this comment, you're probably closer to my era. I don't know how old you are, but a lot of what we define as a point guard from what we saw growing up was that orchestrator, that floor general, right? And don't get me wrong, you had point guards back then that scored. You had your Kenny Andersons and your Mark Prices and your Rod Stricks and Isaiah Thomas, of course, those guys. But now it's like they want there are very few true point guards left. It's like everybody's a combo guard, right? So if you can score 25, 30 at the one position, they love that, right? A Cade Cunningham. But at least, Cade is still getting you, almost 10 assists per game, right? So like I can kind of rock with that, but I would prefer personally if the scoring comes down from 28 to about 22, and now he's getting me 12 assists a game, more in the John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas mold. Give me that versus my point guard scoring all these points. But the game is how it is, and I of course prefer it, how I was more influenced and raised in the game. But no, that's a great point.
The thing about Steph Curry is he didn't start winning championships until he got off the ball.
That's true too.
So the greatest version of Steph Curry wasn't the version where he displayed the most point guard skill. The most point guard skill we saw from Steph Curry were his first 5 or 6 seasons. But it wasn't until the following 5 or 6 seasons where he won championships. So
I think that they could have gotten there because remember he was getting coached by
but they didn't do it that way though, Bruce. But the outcome was that they put Steph in a different role and had him doing different things. It was more balanced in terms of being ball centric.
Mm-hmm.
He was letting someone set him up, right? It was screens and coming off those high screens to get open threes, and he was playing off of clay. He wasn't ball dominant in the sense of a point guard.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. All right, this has been a great topic. Let's go ahead and take some calls on this. Edward, I definitely want to hear from you. I wasn't quite understanding that last comment you made in the chat. I want to hear from you, but anyone who wants to call, we'll take 2 or 3 calls on this. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Let me make sure I got my Bluetooth connected. Hold on, Nino. Hold on. I forgot to connect the Bluetooth when I was setting up. My bad.
Yeah, I look at these era discussions and I look at the way the rules are changed and different, and what ends up happening is you just have to look at how each of the players found success while they played under the circumstances. So if a player achieves greatness while they're in the league, I can't downgrade them based on their effectiveness, based on the rules. I say, well, they made the right adjustments, they played well, but that makes it impossible for me to then compare them directly to someone who played in previous eras.
Yeah, and that's the thing I always say. I have no problem with saying a player from this era is great. I just want to provide the context, and I don't even compare them to the previous era until somebody, whether themselves or the media, starts putting them in the historical context. Nino, what's going on, brother? How are you, man? Good to hear from you.
What's going on, man?
What up, Nino?
What you saying, brother?
This to me boils down to what I've been telling y'all. It's a media thing with the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna break it down, and I always do this, and people don't like it, but it's the same concept. The NFL don't do it because they put the right media personnel in the game. The NFL, I'm a Steelers fan, so when I come up in the 98, early 2000s, we had Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
We ran power football.
For sure.
Most teams ran power football. Now every team in the league runs spread mostly.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make it unwatchable. And we know what they did to the NFL defense. Y'all know what they did to the steel curtain.
For sure.
It's the same concept, except with basketball, when they brought the spread offense per se for the NBA. All right, the pass interference will be no guys. When you go through the lane, even when we played in high school, they taught the big guys to do us that way. When you go through the lane, give them a little elbow or something. So
dissuade them from coming through. Yeah. Yeah,
when you come off the screen, you kind of got your eyes open, like, man, So now they took that out. The offensive player, when he shoots, you got to give him space to land and all that. Well, when the receiver catch the ball, you can't touch him until he get his hands on you.
Which is crazy, right?
Make a move.
Yeah, you can't dislodge him from the ball the way you used to be able to. And you know, you're a Steeler guy. I'm a Raven guy. So we know all about hitting dudes and making the ball pop out. Right, for sure. Yeah.
So it's the same concept, except you know what? Basketball don't have a lot of the old guys, which I give MJ credit, because he probably think it, but he don't say it, because he content.
Exactly.
But you got a lot of basketball guys that will say, oh, look at this guy, and look at this, how they doing this. Eventually, even if it's a little truth, if it's some truth to it, they be like, hey, y'all picking on us, we don't make the rules here. Like E said about Wilt and Russell, and Mr. Russell. Imagine if they had a mic and they said that every day, though, or they had they guys that played at their time saying this every day, like a Skip and Stephen A. Then they talking about stuff that they don't even really know about, and they the number one show on a sports show in America. They got away from Sports Center when I was coming up. You watch highlights. And you got, you know, you just watch who did good, really. You didn't really hear about the comparison, you know. So to me, it's just the same concept of how the media coaching. Now, I'm going to give you the credit, because what you saying about today is true for the most part. Okay, it's going to be easy to score, but that's because they changed the offense, in my opinion. It takes a while it's easy to change the offensive scheme, but it takes a while for the defense to catch up. So I'm going to ask you, and so I'm going to take your favorite player out of it, because I believe that's the one superstar center. Because I go back and watch, and he had the foot, he had the feet, he had everything he needed to do that. Take Hakeem out of it, take Green out of it. Great centers, big man centers. What do they do with Jokic at the 3-point line?
David Robinson.
Do they let him shoot?
David Robinson could deal with him. David Robinson could deal on the perimeter too.
Take Rob out of there too. Rob was take Rob out.
Yeah.
Take Rob out. But I'll try great. People don't really know about D-Rob.
Nah, they don't.
Today, if you put him in today's NBA, he's sick.
D-Rob is a more skilled Giannis. That's what D-Rob is. He's a taller, more skilled Giannis and better on defense. But anyway. So
you take Shaq. And he holding Jokic in the NBA where you can't help out, you can't do the seg of the legal defense. How does Shaq hold Jokic?
So this
I know we know Shaq, Jokic can't hold Shaq now.
So this is where coaching comes in, and as a coach, you have to start throwing maybe wings and guards at Jokic to stop him from handling the ball at the top. You have to start sending things to force him down onto the block. Don't let him orchestrate the offense. You have to, and I've talked about this before. I don't know if you've heard me say it. One of the things I would do if I was a coach, because we see Jokic bringing the ball up the floor a lot, I would send a smaller guard at him, right? That smaller guard is either going to take the ball from him, because obviously being 7 feet, he's going to dribble higher. The smaller guard is going to take the ball from him or make him turn around and back the smaller guard down, which takes up time and messes up the flow of the offense, or he's going to pass right over the smaller guard's head, get the ball out of his hands, which now also disturbs the initiation of the offense. What you got to do is you can't completely shut down Jokic. He's too good offensively. But you got to make things difficult and make things difficult on what he does for his offense. That's what I'm saying.
And listen to what you just said now, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Say Mary Man attacks Jokic. Jokic's a great passer now. We got to give it to him.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you put that puts your big man on Mary. You don't want that.
Well, no, but I don't think you want a full switch. You just want to create some difficulty, and also by doing that, you're also using the shot clock as a weapon too. That's an extra defender for you as well, because you're disturbing the timing and the rhythm of the offense. I'm not saying it's going to completely lock up Jokic. I'm saying as a coach, you got to find ways defensively to make things more difficult. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying in half court, they make I'm making a point of half court, okay?
Okay.
Everybody, okay, give a picture in half court. Jokic got there at the 3-point line. Where is Shaq? Is he holding Jokic enough for him to contest the three? or is he in the paint to contest the drive? Where is he?
Yeah, that's tough because I don't know that.
You see what I'm saying?
So young Shaq could do it. Not Lakers Shaq, but Orlando Shaq, he could do that. But not Lakers Shaq.
Where
so I don't know, man.
Where is he? Is he?
No.
If he holding Jokic, the paint is still open.
So right. So what I was saying is Orlando Shaq could hold Jokic on the perimeter and still get back and defend the rim. That's how quick, explosive, and athletic he was. Now, obviously, the Lakers Shaq, totally different monster. But here's the other part you're forgetting, Nino. If you have Shaq, one, Jokic, if they even are brave enough to let Jokic defend him, is going to be in foul trouble. Two, if they're brave enough to let Jokic defend him, Jokic is expending a whole lot of energy defending those real centers, so he's not going to be able to do the same things that he's doing offensively, right? How many times do we hear about these players today? Well, we can't demand that much of them on defense because they give us so much on offense. See what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Now, that's a fact. I
so you got that part of it as well.
I'm just saying on that side of what they asking a lot of centers, they don't understand, like, the three-point ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Jokic being able to shoot the three, you can't leave him. So, like you're saying, in order to get good rim protection from the opposition, they got to be out there, be able to hold Jokic and run to the paint instead of being around the paint already. Then, so it's kind of you got to kind of give them a little. I don't.
Well, then what you do is so now it comes up on team construction, and you get maybe a 4 in the mold of like a younger Robert Horry, right? Who can go out there and defend Jokic on the perimeter. But if Jokic comes down to the block, well, Shaq is there to take care of that. So it's about team construction, and it's about how you do it.
Now we seeing what happened to the big man. You just fell for the trap. It ain't a lot of Hakeems and Dreams and
no, of course
Shaqs
not.
Now.
No, but if you have a Shaq, remember Shaq played with Horry. Tim Duncan played with Horry, right?
Oh, yeah.
So part of that is part of that is team construction. But yo, I gotta let you go, Nino. Nino, I'm sorry. No, that's a great call, man. I appreciate you, brother. For sure. Thank you for calling, man. VC from Georgia, I saw you calling, man. Call me back, VC. I want to hear what you got to say. Edward, man, you got a lot to say in the chat, man. Call in, bro. Call in. Because I'm not even being funny. I'm not understanding how you're trying to tie a lot of your arguments together. So I need some help because I really don't get it. VC, what's good, brother?
Man, what's up, Bruce? What's up, Sneed? How y'all doing this morning?
VC, good to have you, man. Thanks for calling.
Well, brother.
Yes, sir. Man, I listened to most of your video, man, with the Myles Turner.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta agree with him. I think hating might be a strong word, but I think it's more. I think the word is disgruntled because you got to think about this. We talk about these role players maybe getting more money than a '90s role player, but we also got to think about this. It starts off with the top. So if you see the top of the top talent, I'll say more so with the 2010s. I don't really see it right now with Jokic, SGA, and those guys, but like. Think about the LeBron James, the James Hardens, these guys who, you know, Kawhi Leonard, who we know for like load managing, you know, jumping team to team, seeing how much they're getting paid. Like, say, for example, we saw the Clippers where they had, James Harden, Paul George, all these guys, they could barely win a playoff series. So we're paying these guys the amount of money and they're not having the same heart, the same determination. So I think that's where all the disgruntledness comes from. And then when you talk about the play style, a lot of times you see the younger guys saying they can be better than the older players. You don't see the older players coming out first. Exactly. It's normally the older players coming to make a response. So when you saw a guy like J.J. Redick, like how does J.J. Redick have the right to sit up and talk about Bob Cousy? Now, obviously, the game has advanced from Bob Cousy, but we see him as a pioneer. Even if we think that we would be better, we don't talk about it because of that type of respect that we have for the game of basketball and for what a Bob Cousy, a Wilt Chamberlain, a Bill Russell, and we can keep going. And I think and that's really what it is, the lack of respect. And when you see the guy, like, say, for example, the TNT guys, when it's mainly Charles Barkley going hard on these guys, now they want to say, man, you trashing the product. I don't know, man.
Right.
It's crazy to me, man.
No, I hear you, VC. No, that's a great point. Snead?
What I think is happening, and I'm just casually kind of like listening to everybody's perspectives. I think there's a couple of things occurring. It's kind of obvious to me. They're starting to allow the formation of cults. There's like two cults, right? You have a side that is like promoting the older NBA as being better, and then you have the cult of the new modern NBA being supremely better, right? So they're doing this. I see this with products all over. So like Apple with their devices, Harley Davidson versus crotch rockets. Like I'm just giving you guys some examples, but like they create a culture within the groups. Like this group has a purpose. This is what they're doing. This is what they stand for. Here's their core values. Here's how they identify themselves. Then they move by identifying an adversary, like whoever the opposition is, whoever is the opposite, who's the opponent or the op, right? And then they form an identity. Here's what we believe is part of our identity. These are the features, attributes, characteristics, qualities. And the people that are on the other side of this that are against us, they don't have these same high quality values and whatever. So they're on purpose trying to create dichotomy. They're trying to create separation and get people to fight. So that way there's intensity, there's vitriol, venom, and it keeps the conversation going. And it keeps business. It keeps the checks clearing. It keeps the register sounding off. Like I just, it's become so blatantly obvious to me. They're forming teams. They want people fighting. They want a civil war. So that way it's good for business. It doesn't make any sense to shit on the old generation. It doesn't make any sense to shit on the new generation unless you frame it. We're going to create a civil war that's good for business. That's what I think is happening in front of our eyes.
Oh yeah, and to double down on what you're saying, Snead, I don't know if it was your pod, if it was you guys' pod or Mel's pod, where I think Adam Silver said, where even though they're not watching the games, what they include is also engagements and interactions.
Yeah.
So Gilbert Arenas, who can sit up and talk about SGA having more deeper bag work than Michael, even though guys, even if you're not watching the game right now, if you're tuning in to watching Gilbert's arena, you might be outraged, you might agree with it, but the fact that you're in those live chat rooms, all of these places discussing that topic on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you talk your basketball, that also goes towards the NBA.
For sure. Great points, man. You got anything else, VC?
Man, the only thing I can say is, man, I'm glad Joe Dumars is letting he changed those rules, let us play more defense, man. Yeah, basketball looking good. I haven't been watching as much as I can, but shoot, after football season, when these Falcons go ahead and wrap up this season, and I'm right on it.
No doubt. I appreciate the call, VC. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Keep the show rolling.
No doubt. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Edward, let's try one more time, man. I really want to hear what you guys say, seriously, because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really following how you were trying to tie your arguments together. So I'd love to hear from you.
The thing about the sides, Bruce, the ops, right? That means somebody's going to keep tuning in because they need to have ammunition, right? For their conversations, their fighting, like the arguments, they have to stay engaged, and it's just buzz. It just create the buzz and keep the buzz going.
No doubt. Edward, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Snead and Bruce.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Excellent. Good. You
doing well? Thank you, man.
Then I just had to take an ibuprofen before I called in.
I appreciate that, man. You got to take care of yourself. Health is important, man.
Yes, it is, sir. Very important, sir. I mean, let me just say this here. I do not have a problem with the message from Myles Turner. I do have the problem with the messenger. I wouldn't have had a problem if Kenyon Martin said this. But Myles Turner, really?
Wow. Okay.
Why do you have a problem with Myles Turner as a messenger?
Because what has Myles Turner accomplished in this NBA? What has he accomplished in his career? I mean, this man, I'll just say this right here. He is a two-time block champion for the Indiana Pacers. He leads the Indiana Pacers in blocks.
Okay.
That's it. But we see how Myles Turner plays now with the Milwaukee Bucks, man. It's terrible. Now I can see why it's the rumors out there that it's not a rumor. I mean, Giannis did delete all his stuff from Milwaukee Bucks. The only thing he left up there was the NBA Cup and the NBA Championship. Giannis left on his page. We see, he's playing god awful with the Milwaukee Bucks. They got blown out last night against the Pacers.
Okay, but none of that has anything to do with the fact that he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said. If it came from Kenyon Martin, I would not have no problem.
Okay, but hold on. Let me ask you this real quick, Edward. So when I say stuff, right? I didn't play. I don't know what I'm talking about. Cool. I can acknowledge that. I didn't play in the NBA. I don't know what I'm talking about. But then I get it from a player, mind you, not a quote unquote old head player who just jealous and hating, right? We're getting it from a current player who I believe has been an all-star before. I believe he's been an all-star. We're getting it from a current NBA player who's been in the league for a while, who has been an all-star, but that's not good enough for you. So please, just for going forward, for future reference, so I know which players to use their sound bites, what is a viable what's a viable skill set and a viable accumulation of awards and accomplishments in the league that will make their commentary good enough for you? Because just to point this out, Ray Allen is a Hall of Famer and a top 75 guy. And when he said that LeBron is not top 5, you didn't accept that. So I'm wondering who it has to come from for it to be viable for you. Or do you just have to like what's being said?
I think it's probably more likely what's being said. That's
I know
what it really is.
I know.
So what you trying to do, Bruce? I just took an ibuprofen, man. Why is you doing this?
No, I'm dismantling you like I always do. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out your nonsense. That's what I'm doing. See, I'm coming in with peace and harmony. Okay. That doesn't make you right. You can come with all the peace and harmony you want. That doesn't make you right.
Okay. See, this is okay. Whatever, Bruce. You got it, man. You got it.
I do.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
I do. Yes.
Anyway, it's just, man. Like I said in the chat, man. Like it's always the NBA, man. It's the NBA that, like Sneed said, man. He hated when the older generation poop on the new generation poops on the older generation. We hear this so much in the NBA, not in the NFL, not MLB, not NHL, none of that. Why is it the NBA? Somebody please explain that to me. Sneak, can you please explain that to me, please?
I think the modern players are defensive, and I think the older players have some resentfulness. I think it's because they're going tit for tat. They go back and forth. So nobody's taking the high road. You know what I'm saying, Eddie? Everybody's kind of just jabbing back, throwing haymakers.
Okay, yeah. And then, I'm hearing, somebody said, Steph Curry. What I said in the chat is that, man, we hear so much good, Steph Curry is like the golden child. He cannot be touched or nothing like that.
I've criticized Steph Curry. What are we talking about?
But I'm talking about in the media, Bruce. In the media, we do not hear none of them.
This is the media right here. I'm in the media.
Well, what I'm saying is, Bruce, that basically we do not hear Steph does not play no type of defense or anything like that.
So do you find it problematic that Steph doesn't defend? Just out of curiosity, I didn't mean to cut you off. Does it bother you that he doesn't defend?
No. See, I know you're not going to set me up. You're not going to set me up. I know what you're trying to do.
Why can't you just answer the question? Does it bother you that Steph doesn't defend? I'm just asking you. You brought it up, not me.
What I'm saying is that basically, we do not hear none of that he plays both sides of the ball or anything like that.
I'm asking you how you feel about that, though, since you brought it up.
Well, because I do have a problem with it because we always hear from your side of the table.
No. I'm asking you your personal feelings on whether or not Steph plays defense. Are you bothered by him not defending? I'm asking you how Edward feels about it.
I'm bothered about it because you already know what's ready to come out of that disrespectful mouth of yours. I already know. You know I'm bothered about it. So what you gonna say now?
I'm not gonna say anything. I was just asking. Carry on.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that, we do not hear that in the media, on the mainstream network. How about that? We don't hear that.
Okay.
We just hear about
Fair
he's
enough.
like the next best point guard with Magic Johnson.
Which is ridiculous, but anyway, go on.
Exactly, that is ridiculous. But but why we do not hear that energy from you people when it comes to the Joker, though? You know what I'm saying? We hear more of that. Like, he needs to play both sides of the ball when it comes to the Joker.
You're ridiculous. How did Joker even get into this discussion?
Because I'm just saying that. That's why I said if we just talking about positions, he plays a point guard. He needs to have more. I saw somebody say he's like 28th in assists.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to Joker, he's not even top 10 in nothing when it comes to steals and blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But we hear his numbers about majority on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, he is an incredible offensive player. So
one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah. That's why you hear that.
Yeah, and then that's really it, man. You know, I don't have much more to say, but Sneed, I want you to know this right here. If you had this is a start bench cut. I'm just gonna make this quick. Who would you start bench cut? Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks, Pablo Banchero, or Scotty Barnes?
Wow, bro. Wow, that might be one of the best ones anyone's ever asked me. I'm starting Paolo Banchero. I'm benching Scotty Barnes, and I'm gonna cut Jalen Johnson.
Oof.
And the only reason why I'm doing this is because Jalen Johnson hasn't done it as long as the other two. I think Scotty Barnes has the upside over Jalen Johnson, so I'm putting him on the bench. I think right now Paolo Banchero is the best player currently of those three. So that's my thought process. Johnson's just kind of coming into his own now. You know,
but don't you see the way he's making
Trae Young expendable to Edwards'
Exactly. He's making Trae Young expendable, and he's playing both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He just had another triple-double last night, and then he put up a couple. Yeah, he had a triple-double last night. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It's amazing with the triple-double.
Do you think you could build a franchise of the three? Who do you build a franchise around?
Banchero.
That's kind of my thought process too. What do you say, Eddie?
Well, right now what I'm seeing is I would love to. I couldn't agree with that, but right now what I'm looking at, I'm thinking about today because.
Okay, so 2025-26 season.
Yeah, because I'm seeing right now.
I think Barnes and Johnson are playing better than Banchero.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that I see the Atlanta Hawks, they getting it done without their number one star, Trae Young. And Orlando, they getting it done without Pablo Banchero because they got Vance Wagner, if I'm pronouncing his name right, and Desmond Bain, and what's his last name? Snug or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Suggs.
Suggs, yeah. So me personally, I would start Jalen Johnson, bench Pablo, and cut Scotty.
Okay, so if this is about how they're playing this year, then I have to bring Banchero down. I do.
Yeah, because last year I know Jalen Johnson, he got injured and he had a season-ending injury last season. And you know, Paulo, he's starting to be injury prone too. You know,
that's valid.
That's my problem. That's my problem.
Valid. Yeah, that's valid, bro.
That's a great point, Edward. For sure.
Yeah, but that's all I got, fellas, man. Let's enjoy this Sunday. We got the NFL. Oh my God, my Steelers, man. We played them damn right.
And you know what's crazy? The crazy part is I know that, but I'm so wrapped up in the college football playoff reveal at noon. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that. So
I know you are, Bruce. You told me to leave you alone yesterday. I understand. Sir.
Yes. No doubt. But I appreciate the call.
Everybody make sure y'all get the likes and subscribe up for my boys here, man. Y'all be you.
I appreciate the call, man.
Water.
Yeah, water. Whatever, Bruce.
That's my guy.
That was one hell of a question, bro. See, at first I thought we were looking at it holistically from a career standpoint, where they've been, where they could go.
Yeah.
But like this season, man, he's on, bro. Eddie was right.
For sure. All right, let's take it to the next topic, man. That was a good one. I didn't expect that to. That was good, man. Man, these NBA topics been fire lately, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Luka Doncic. As we can see, this is old Luka, Mavs Luka. But and again, man, shout out to Man Down Mel because he definitely inspired this topic. I had no idea. So obviously, we know last season Luka Doncic to the Lakers, one of the biggest trades in NBA history, and as usual, the Lakers are involved. Right? They have just made a franchise history of acquiring big name free agents and turning that into championships. So, anyway, no, but so
shout out to the Celtics.
I know, right? For sure. So Luka gets traded in what was a shocking blockbuster deal, and there's all these different tentacles to it. Did LeBron know? Did LeBron not know? AD was shocked. He got shipped out. Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavericks, had to fall on the sword for that. Was it solely his idea, or was it the idea of the new owners? Was it Fertitta? Who was behind all of this? Literally, the Mavs fan base, they hated Nico. They were so in love with Luka, so on and so forth. Why did this trade happen when you got a guy who's a multiple-time first-team All-NBA guy, a guy who's, as early in his career as he is, he's probably a Hall of Famer already, so on and so forth, right? So many tentacles to this thing. It was crazy. So lo and behold, we are starting to find out now Luka was the problem. And kind of a lot of this is more coming out the more we dig into this, because as we know, a few weeks ago, Nico Harrison was fired from the Mavericks, right? And it's unfortunate because if you heard the verbiage I used earlier, he fell on the sword for the organization. And a big part of this is a speculation that Luka was in line for, what was that, a $275, $280 million Supermax, somewhere around that, just gigantic money Supermax deal. And the Fertittas didn't want to pay it, right? Luka wasn't their guy. He's Mark Cuban's guy. He's the previous owner's guy. They didn't want to pay that. And they hadn't seen what they believed was the necessary investment from Luka in his body, in his health, in his play. And now we're finding out there's even more to it. So he got shipped out. But again, Nico Harrison is the guy that, has to take the blame for it. So first, before I get to the sound that we have from Brendan Haywood, who was close to the Mavs organization and spoke to people about this, what were your thoughts initially? I don't even know if I talked to you about this, Sneed, when it happened. Initially, your thoughts on the trade and kind of why you think it may have gone down and what was, the precursors to it all.
The new owners of the Dallas Mavericks spent a lot of money on the franchise, and the player that they're about to sink all this money into and secure their future as competitors within the NBA, they didn't trust him. Mm-hmm. The thing about really, really wealthy people who spend a lot of money on something like a transaction, mm-hmm. they need to see the return on the invested capital. Luka is an asset. Luka was an asset to them that they didn't trust was going to be able to return the value that they paid for the franchise. When they bought the Mavericks, they bought Luka and the value that Luka brought to the table. They were willing to move on from Luka and trade Luka because they had fear and they thought there was risk that he wouldn't take himself and his career seriously.
That's it, not the Fertittas.
Yeah. So instead of, and you can question how they handled the situation. The real issue, Bruce, is that they didn't return Luka value, right? Everybody knows what Luka's worth.
Mm-hmm.
The Mavericks ownership group and Nico Harrison being a part of that transaction, they didn't return the value for Luka, which is really what this boils down to. They're left holding a bad end of the trade mm-hmm. in terms of what they got back. But the concern about Luka is valid in that he was consistently overweight, consistently injured. All those concerns are valid. If the Mavericks would have got a better return, then maybe nobody's saying anything right now. Mm-hmm. But really the only concern is that they just didn't get back what people believe they should have got back for Luka.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Nico is out. They had to blame somebody. Wealthy people made a bad transaction and they need to blame someone so that way they could save face in the public. This is about saving face. Nico doesn't have a job because this whole transaction didn't return value. They just look like they got played.
No, those are all really good points. But what I love is that one of the things I always say on this show is just give it time. I'll be patient. I'll wait. Eventually, I'll be proven right. Right. And this is not in this particular topic about me being right or wrong personally. It's about sometimes you got to wait and the information will come out. It'll dribble out slowly but surely. Right. But this is one where we're finding out that it's not just that Nico Harrison made a stupid deal or that the Adelsons and the Dumonts didn't want to pay him. There's an amalgam of things that went into trading this guy, which, again, no one in their right mind would have conceived of before it happened. That's why we were all so shocked by it. When I found out, I literally had to check around and make sure that wasn't, what do you call it? Fake news, right? I really had to. Then when it really I was like, whoa.
They said that they didn't like him.
And we're gonna get to that. Yeah.
I mean, that's your star.
And think about it, we know that in basketball, in the NBA, probably more so than the other sports, the other team sports, if you're good enough, the other stuff can fall by the wayside, right? If you're good enough, we can always deal with whatever. So think about how bad it had to be for you to be disliked for them to move on from a guy of that talent and that production.
At that age.
So let's hear from former Dallas Maverick, among others, who now does some of the games for Dallas and has contacts inside the building. Brendan Haywood, he's going to talk about this. So this was crazy when I heard it.
Didn't move Luka without a lot of people in the Dallas organization either thinking that was a good move or they wanted him moved himself. The year before that, I went and I called a game in Dallas. I've never seen an organization have a generational player that disliked him that much. So everybody I talked to, they didn't speak highly of Luka. I talked to people from the support staff to the coaching staff, the front, everybody around. It was just, yeah. And I'll never forget, I was talking to somebody. I said, man, y'all might have the MVP this year. And the response was one that I never thought I would get. They said, gosh, I hope not. I said, what?
Wow.
They said, we can't get him to listen to anything we say now. If he gets the MVP, no telling what he'll do. Whether it was the work ethic, whether it was showing up out of shape, whether it was how certain people were talked to, there were a lot of people in that organization that didn't agree with how he went about his day-to-day business. And so when Nico made that trade, there were a lot of people that actually liked it.
Bruce, they were clearly looking for a reason to trade Luka. They wanted they preferred that Luka could do something, play poorly, something to justify the move. They wanted to move on. They did.
Sure. Now imagine that, like we were saying earlier, a guy of that talent, a guy of that production, a guy who led your team to the NBA Finals 1 year earlier, a guy who moved that much merch, a guy who makes you that much money as an owner. You can't deal with him. He's so disliked and so toxic within the organization. You say, yo, we just can't deal with it. That's insane to think about. That really is. To think about somebody saying, people inside the building saying, yo, we hope he doesn't win an MVP because he doesn't listen now. So if he wins one, imagine what he'll do. That's crazy. And we saw examples of him not necessarily, obviously not caring about his body or not doing the right things. After they won the Western Conference Finals, he's standing there drinking a beer. And I think was it Michael Finley?
Michael Finley.
Yeah, Michael Finley had to go take the beer from him. Come on, man. Even if you're going to have a beer to celebrate later, you doing that right there just to show blatantly how you don't care? Just like that, right? Your freaking front office guy has to. So they've talked to him about it, right? That was something they talked to him about. They got to come take it from you. It's come on, man. And then you see the way he is on the floor, all the whining and constant complaining, right? We saw it in the finals. And meanwhile, you juxtapose it with a guy like Jaylen Brown, who we know is a different player physically, but the mentality was, if Luka's on the floor, don't take me out. I'm on the floor and I'm guarding this guy, right? Luka, we know, doesn't even pretend to it. Well, this year he's been a little more engaged defensively, but prior to this year, never even pretended to care about defense, right? His whole style of play, again, so much of his production was just because he's so supremely talented on offense. We heard Stan Van Gundy say the other day that he's the greatest offensive player that he's ever seen. That, say that poking fun at it, but yeah, he's so supremely talented on offense that he's able to get away with a lot and playing the way he plays. And so to have an organization that you're bringing so much money to and with whom you're so popular and you're making deep playoff runs and so on and so forth, and they're like, nah, get this guy out of here. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much of this before.
No.
In terms of precedent. So
no,
this is uncharted waters. You got a new ownership group that literally comes and says, we're just going to move on from a star player because we don't like some of the things we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember in LA, I remember Shaq. And I see some of that here in respect to how serious a person takes their career, how serious a person takes their work ethic. The difference there is it was player civil war, right? With Shaq and Kobe questioning how hard Shaq worked, wanted to win without him, forced the hand of the ownership group, right? Powerful player. In this case, the owners, there was just things there that they didn't like, that they were willing to make a bad decision. I don't really think enough time passed to where we could honestly say they made a good effort to iron out the wrinkles with Luka. Luka's not a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely wasn't a finished product at the time of the trade. So you come in and you start disrupting and busting up your franchise basically because you're just didn't like it, but you probably should have worked through it. There's going to be deep regrets. They look like an incompetent franchise because right now the ownership group looks incompetent.
For sure. Or maybe they're like, yo, we're willing to take this step back because we weren't going to pay this guy to continue to wreck the franchise from the inside. There may be some value to that mindset as well. Yeah. Absolutely. That's where I was going next. You read my mind.
But that's luck, right? Like the way they got Cooper Flag had nothing to do with them making the proper moves.
Right. I don't know if it was luck. I feel like,
I mean, the broken clock is right 2 times a day, Bruce.
Oh, for sure.
What did Rasheed Wallace say? I think he said the sun shines on a dog's ass.
Yeah. Blind squirrel finds a nut. Yeah, there's a bunch of those for sure. Yeah, no. The Mavs are hoping Cooper Flag pans out, but the thing is, like, Luka walked in better than Cooper Flag. But in fairness, Luka had been playing pro ball for a number of years already. Cooper Flag is what was a year out of high school. So.
Can you highlight Young Disciples' comment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had it up there before.
Young Disciple, you're right. They do look like idiots because they didn't return value for Luka. They did not get the dollar back for the dollar.
But you rarely get that in the NBA when you trade a superstar.
They weren't forced. Luka was not. He was under contract.
But maybe there's more to it also that we still don't know, and maybe it was
that's possible. But this lines up, Bruce.
Destructive internally to the franchise. You don't want that either. And I'm not saying
so far, this all lines up so far.
Mm-hmm. No, agreed. Hate how they made Nico the fall guy in Dallas. Yeah, that's tough, man. But when you're the owner, you can do that to people, right? You're not going to be the fall guy.
Don't be surprised that they did this to Nico. Mm-hmm. The first person they put there at the presser was Nico, and next to Nico was Jason Kidd. They had to sell the trade to the public. Mm-hmm. They had to convince people that what they did was right for the franchise.
Right. But so at the time, yes, we know that the Lakers, we know now and we knew then they got the better end of the deal. But let's just say hypothetically, if AD wasn't Mr. Glass, like that's not a decent deal.
Like, I mean, if they were closer in age, then it would be a lot easier to digest.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about the age piece. Yep.
I mean, if this was 2020,
mm-hmm.
AD, so we're talking about AD at 27.
For sure.
You see, it's a little different.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take a couple calls on this. 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. I'm going to take a couple calls here. You guys' thoughts on Luka. Here's a question. Do you think that Dallas is now maybe leaking this stuff and trying to frame him as the problem to save face for getting beaten in a terrible deal? Or how much of this stuff do you think is true? I'm curious to know where you guys are on this. Or do you think it's a two things could be true type situation? Caller from Arizona. Who's this?
Yeah, the Super Dave from Raw Sports Radio.
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to have you call in, man.
What's good, fellas?
All right.
Like, what y'all got going?
Appreciate it, man.
But straight to the bag, man. If you think that the Lakers won this trade, then you really don't know. And you know, and I understand we got a lot of casual fans out there. They don't understand basketball.
Okay.
Because when you because first of all, I mean, the only reason that it would look like LA won this trade is because the AD can't stay healthy.
Right.
Which
that's a factor.
That's something that they was going to face anyways with Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing that could have happened was to get him around a guy like LeBron who takes his fitness serious.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the talent on the court, the Mavericks, they didn't have a good enough defense to win a championship, and that is what wins championships. Luka just want to go back there, rest on defense, go out there and just shoot two step back.
Facts.
And get calls from the referee, and that didn't happen in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why people are hanging on to this guy and want to romanticize this guy. And it's like I heard the other guys talk about that the Lakers made the good move when they got rid of Shaq. I mean, like everybody keeps saying Kobe, but what was all this talk when Shaq was winning MVPs in the finals?
No, I didn't say it was a good move. I was just saying to the move. I was discussing the move. I didn't say it was a good move.
That was a very, very dumb move because
I understand. The problem was they weren't able to work through it, so they moved on from Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was a good move.
They ended up not making the playoffs.
They ended up not winning for a long time until much later. I'm with you.
Yeah. It took Jerry West to give them guys a bone for them to get back on track because Kobe was not the answer. He fooled the Lakers fan base, but you can always fool the casual fan.
They won 2 championships.
Right.
They went to 3 finals.
Did you hear what I just said? That Jerry West had to give them Paul Gasol for Kwame Brown. Some corruption had to go on behind the scenes for that.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove that Kobe isn't the one. But continue.
Right. And
Kobe definitely isn't the one. If you look at like Kobe doesn't even get you over the top as far as the league average and what the rate at what teams are scoring. Kobe doesn't meet that. So how
they won championships though? It's hard.
You caught up in theatrics and all of this stuff. I'm talking about numbers, man.
I'm looking at outcomes. Like if
you're looking at outcomes without context.
There is context. Championship rings. So if Luka wins championships
on that roster, Paul Gasol, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, all those guys shot above 50%. Kobe was the only one. He was the entertainer.
So it's proven that if you give Kobe enough talent, he can provide championships.
That's proven for any star. Why do you think?
No, it's not proven for any star. There have been players who have been given a lot of talent and support, and they haven't won. So it's not proven.
No, that's not true. That's not because if you go back and look at those rosters, Kobe shot them guys out of championship. Like first of all, Kobe, what happened? What do you say in 2008 when he faced the Celtics? It's a good thing that Kevin Garnett got hurt in 2009. And then if you look at 2010, the way that the referees cheated them back into the series, and
I would say in 2008, I would say in 2008 they were very close but didn't win. Right, the Celtics were better that year, and then the following 2 years, the Lakers were the best team.
8 for 24, just like his jersey and retirement numbers.
Oh,
or 6 for 24.
He's thinking about that Game 7 in 2010.
Okay, so nobody's saying Kobe's perfect. We're just saying that when he was asked to produce championships, when he had enough talent, he did. So
correct.
This is not just one instant. If you go back and look at his numbers and close out games, it's constant. Where is the clutch gene? I think you guys are caught up on the regular season highlights.
Okay, well, look.
I was just talking about championship outcomes. Why are you talking about regular season?
All right, hold on, my man. Super Dave, this is one. I appreciate your call and I appreciate your passion. But two, let's take it back to the Luka topic where we were, because this Kobe thing could go into a whole different thing.
But we got to keep it casual for the fans, because when you really break this stuff down, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. Like Luka, like the Mavericks. How did they lose the trade when you got Anthony Davis? When you got Anthony Davis, a two-way player, so many people are blinded by the offense. Like basketball is played on both ends of the court.
Oh, believe me, we understand
Davis,
that. This
and
show
then you
understands
turn around
that.
and you get Cooper Flag along with that, and you got Christian.
Dave, are you attributing the trade to somehow that's why they got Cooper Flag?
I said, and you ended up with Cooper Flag.
Right, but it's not because of the trade though, right?
You ended up getting Cooper Flag from the Lakers pick, right?
Okay, so if
from the Lakers, right?
The injury risks are legitimate, right? Like Anthony Davis, if he's not playing, the Mavericks aren't very good.
You brought it up. You brought up Cooper Flag, and then you.
No, I let you make your point, bro. I'm not discrediting you.
You asked me a question about Cooper Flag. Where did they get Cooper Flag?
Cooper Flag, I would say was good fortune.
No, I'm saying they got it from the Lakers, right? And where they got Cooper Flag from, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they got the pick from. If you're telling me they got it from the Lakers, then we got it cleared up. We're good. Now, when
you got to add that into the equation when you're thinking about who won the trade.
Okay, so if Cooper Flag ends up winning them a championship, then we'll say that the Mavericks won the trade, right?
You basing on championship, but yeah, they want consistency, and they talking about the long haul.
Okay, which is valid, and Anthony Davis checks those boxes too, so it's warranted from that respect. But if it's Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, and Anthony Davis isn't playing because he's injured, but Luka has found a way to all of a sudden become more reliable and more available, well, then you would say that the Lakers are winning for now. They've done better on their end of the trade.
That's also the thing. When we look at trades, you always gotta wait a couple years to. Really
I am caught up in the moment. I'm saying down the line it could be different, but as of right now,
yes, sir. I hear you, sir. You said you gotta wait going down the line, right? But that's the story franchise Lakers who could add on more pieces, and then we're gonna judge it based on that.
Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of factors that go into
parts right there.
Yeah, it is. But those are those are the parts that come about as a result of a trade. Hold on there, Super Dave. Let me shout out this super chat. Logan Misiak 5573 with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. He says the trade was clearly an NBA business decision. Maybe so.
Definitely were.
Yeah, I appreciate that super chat though. Thank you so much for your support. Like and subscribe. Yes, Super
Dave,
go ahead, line your plane, man.
To y'all call line, but I I call in more. I'm gonna make sure I try to screenshot y'all info.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live.
We'll do. I like the casual fans out there.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Bro, Dave's points are good. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying.
Yeah.
But, when we look at things, you make decisions short term, midterm, long term.
Mm-hmm.
We won't know the long term until all these parts of the trade are done.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Lakers never win a championship with Luka, we could say it was a bad trade for the Lakers in that respect.
Yeah.
If the Mavericks end up winning one with Cooper Flag, if they win one with Anthony Davis, like that changes the whole context. But right now, when we're looking at it, Anthony Davis is just now kind of starting to play. Like we didn't see him immediately after the trade. We didn't see him to start this year. That leaves the Mavericks looking bad. We can't, look past that in the short term.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. All right. Good topic there. Let's go ahead and move to the last one and get you guys out of here and set up to enjoy your Sunday for a number of different things, whether it's NFL, college football, or what. But as I mentioned, college football, we will move right along to Conference Title Saturday, which has had, I would say, immense influence on what we're going to find out very shortly here in terms of the final college football playoff rankings. Sneed and I were talking back and forth all day and texting in our group with Transformer, and it was something, man. So the earlier games weren't so competitive, right? Texas Tech beats up BYU. Great for Notre Dame because BYU is now out of the mix. What was the second game? Georgia mollywops, body slams, dismantles, demolishes, abuses Alabama. I don't know what Alabama thought they were doing there, but they got handled, right? Alabama looked as bad as Georgia looked last year in the Sugar Bowl when Notre Dame stomped all over them. But, that's neither here nor there. But the point is, we had people who are members of this channel who are always screaming roll tide, this, that, and the third, and, blah, blah, blah. And the Tide didn't even show up yesterday. They got done up. So that was interesting. That was the second game of the night. Then we got into what was clearly the game of the night and maybe even the game of the year in college football. The number one Ohio State Buckeyes at the time, presumably they're no longer number one, versus the number two at the time, presumably now they're number one, Indiana Hoosiers, in just a tremendous back and forth defensive battle. And I'm going to hand this over to Sneed momentarily because he's our resident Buckeye. But I'm going to say this. What surprised me most about this game, because I did believe Ohio State would win. I thought they would win close. I thought this would be the most tested they would be all season, and it turned out that was the case. But I just felt like because, and I've said it time and again, that they're hands down the best team in the country, and they may still be. They had a slip up, but I still believe, based on what I've seen all year, they're the best team in the country. But what really shocked me was Indiana's ability to physically match up with Ohio State and control them almost to, do I want to say shut them down? Like they really, really controlled an elite offensive team very well. So I'm going to hand it over to Sneed. You can give us your brief thoughts on the first two conference title games, and then I know you want to talk Buckeyes. So what you got, man?
All right. So the one I'll speak to in terms of the SEC, the big one.
Okay.
No surprises. Georgia dominated the quarterback. Is it Simpson for Alabama?
Oh, Ty Simpson. Yeah.
Ty Simpson looked completely out of sorts, was having a hell of a time. Didn't play very well. The team didn't play. They didn't answer to the pressure that the Bulldogs brought to the table, and they just didn't compete well. So that one was not a good game. That one was not a competitive game.
Nope.
I was disappointed in what Alabama was able to do or not do in this case.
Not me. I loved it.
Well, I mean, the outcome, obviously, you're like,
Right.
But I mean, the talks about like the SEC being this incredibly competitive conference is, the truth is, they're just like any other conference.
Right.
There's certain teams that are elite and other ones that are not as competitive. And in big spots, some of the truth shows. Now, when I look at the Buckeyes versus Hoosiers, okay, so I don't want to sound like a broken record.
Hold on, before you get there, can we go back real quick to Texas Tech and BYU? And just how good is Texas Tech?
Texas Tech
is
really
freaking good, man.
Yeah, they're really good. They're like and actually I see a lot of the same things with Texas Tech and Indiana.
Okay.
I see some of the same qualities and characteristics.
Nice.
So I think we know who the top four teams are. To me, it's pretty clear. And they're you have to think that the money lines are going to start moving now that people have watched Texas Tech.
Sure.
That they'll probably see the same things that we're seeing, right? So, yeah, I think people will start leaning towards them as a favorite in the playoff. Like, they've got a chance to win it too.
So they're really good, but why are we not hearing the same nonsense that we're hearing that Texas Tech didn't play anybody? Why are we not hearing more of that? Because we heard that about Ohio State all year. We heard that about Indiana all year. On a much lower level, we hear that about Notre Dame all year, right?
I mean, once you get later into the season, that stuff doesn't. Once you get later into the season like this, none of that stuff matters.
No, I know it doesn't matter. It's just the principle for me of the hypocrisy and the SEC bias. The SEC people are the only people who play anyone, right?
Who
plays anybody? I just find it interesting that
then why don't
about Texas Tech?
Then why doesn't the national championship always come out of the SEC?
I don't know. we know when it stopped, when NIL became legal. But anyway, moving right along.
Yeah. So then, all right, and then the Buckeyes and Hoosiers, the Indiana Hoosiers matched everything Ohio State wanted to do: the intensity, the blocking, the fight, the punches that were thrown, the competing. They matched Ohio State, so they were in the game the whole way. This was close the whole way. My prediction for the game was a field goal either side. I acknowledged, even as a Buckeye fan, I acknowledged that Indiana could win this game.
Right. You did.
Because they are really, really good. Anybody who predicted it one way or the other definitively was taking a chance. Like if you said that the Buckeyes are going to win by 10 or 20 points, You were going to end up wrong. If you thought the Hoosiers were going to win by 10, 20 points, you were going to be wrong.
Right.
These teams have really explosive offensive weapons, and defensively, they both fight fiercely. So you can't just walk over them. They don't give up and quit. You saw the game. It went down to a few plays.
Sure.
For Ohio State, it was a missed kick that would have been a tying field goal. For Indiana, it was key first downs that allowed them to possess the ball and keep Ohio State from getting the ball back. If Ohio State didn't score a touchdown, the risk was that they were going to lose this game because Indiana was going to get the ball back at the end. Right? So I say all that to say this. These guys could play 10 times and Indiana could win 7 games, or Ohio State could win 8 games. I don't know who's definitively better.
Right.
I just think Mendoza is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think Sayin is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the Hoosiers defense is underrated.
Yeah.
And I don't think any less of Ohio State. And I think more of Indiana right now.
Yeah.
So I'm buying Indiana stock.
For sure.
And I'm still holding my Ohio State stock. You know, so they can play again and we can get a different outcome, or we could play again and get the same outcome.
Right.
I knew that Bruce wasn't going to be right when he said that Indiana was going to win by 13. Yeah, I knew he was going to be wrong. I truly believe this was a 1 field goal game either way, because these guys don't lay down.
Nah.
They don't give up. They don't quit. They fight through adversity. Bro, Sayin could have folded. He didn't fold. Right? They got an early pick. He didn't fold.
Right.
Mendoza could. What if Mendoza was he got blasted to start the game?
Yeah.
And he got up and played like an incredible game. This was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. It was a lot of fun to watch. My unfortunate side to this is that my team ended up holding the L.
Sure.
But I still expect to see Ohio State making major noise in the playoff. And I think Indiana probably opened up a lot of eyes. And I think, unfortunately, for the SEC fan that is irrationally, disproportionately skewing that side as the favorites, I think the champion's coming out of the Big Ten.
I think that as well.
I think it's the most likely outcome. I think the champion's coming out of the Big Ten.
So full bias here, obviously. I think if Notre Dame gets in, they got a real opportunity to make a run. But and I've said this time and time again, this is going to be the toughest championship ever won because this field is really good. Yeah. This is a really good field. So I'm so excited to watch how this whole tournament plays out. But yeah, Ohio State, I still think, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just, conditioned from what I've been thinking all year. I still think they're probably the best team in the country.
But why would you sell your stock on Ohio? It's exactly this point. Why would you sell your stock on Ohio State after last night's game?
Well, most people say, okay, well, they lost. How can you still think they're the best team?
But watch the game and you would still think that, though?
I don't think that, look, like you said, 1 or 2 plays either way, right? Mendoza made some fantastic throws in third down situations.
But they said that Sayin was never tested. So here he was tested, and I think he responded decently. Yeah, he didn't light it up, but decent. But he's responded decent, and I think there's a couple of things that maybe the Buckeye coaching staff would reconsider.
Okay,
but those are learning. You have to learn who your players are. You know what I mean? So I'm not selling my Ohio State stock. Yeah. I am buying more Indiana stock. Texas Tech, real deal. Georgia, real deal. We learned a lot this weekend.
So you know what else I like about this, right? We are in an era in sports, and we talked about this earlier in the NBA, but we're in an era in sports where they're so desperately trying to legislate out defense wherever they can, right? But what are we seeing? Full disclosure, I didn't see the Virginia-Duke game because I was all wrapped up in the Big Ten title game, right? But what are we seeing for the most part? The best teams, at least in the college football here, what we're seeing, these guys that all have dominant front sevens. Texas Tech's front seven is crazy. Georgia's front seven didn't start off the season playing like it, but now is back to playing like a Georgia front seven. We know what Ohio State's front seven represents, and the whole country got to see last night what Indiana's front seven is as well. So we are seeing these dominant teams that can get after you and stop the run. So this is going to be super exciting. It's going to come down to which offenses and which offensive coordinators can find a way to negate that or make enough plays against these teams that they can have success. It's going to be so awesome. What do you think of the fact that the ACC may not get a team in at all, and their champion has 5 losses? Like, clearly they're going to go this summer and reassess their tiebreaker format, right?
Right. Right.
Do something.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is absurd. Like, I know they're looking at it like, oh man, we messed this up. Our guys definitely should have had we should have had Miami in there. Check this out, right? I looked this up. This is I what do you call this? Went to AI. I asked it, why didn't Miami end up in the ACC conference title game? This is crazy. This says, here are the key points for why Miami, who finished the regular season with a strong 10-2 overall record and a 6-2 conference record, didn't make the ACC championship game. 1, multiple team tie. Miami was part of a huge 5-way tie for second place in the ACC standings, all finishing with a 6-2 conference record. 2, tiebreaker criterion. Because of the lack of common opponents among all the tied teams, a common issue in the new 17-team ACC format without divisions, the tiebreakers went deep into the league's sorting process. 3, conference opponent winning percentage. The tiebreaker that ultimately eliminated Miami was the winning percentage of their conference opponents. This is a factor outside entirely of Miami's control. Duke won this tiebreaker because the teams that Duke played and beat in the SEC had a higher the ACC, had a higher collective winning percentage in conference play than the conference opponents played by Miami. For example, the collapse of Florida State, who Miami beat, and their low conference winning percentage hurt Miami's standing in this particular tiebreaker. In short, despite being the highest ranked team in the tie, Miami lost a complex, computer-driven tiebreaker to Duke, who earned the second spot in the ACC championship game against Virginia. They need to figure that out because they screwed themselves with whatever the hell that was.
Well, when you create a formula for your tiebreak, and that formula is then exercised, there's nobody to blame. There was an agreement that we're going to use these rules.
Right.
So here we are. So the question is did we get the best team in the position to compete for the title?
Right. Crazy. Yeah, no, ACC is not that great of a conference, but apparently there was a ton of parity in it this year, right? But no,
so in that sense, that would be fun. That's a fun conference.
I know, right? I know. So now we have to sit back and we have to wait and we have to see what ends up happening. And the show is about to start, like right now. We have to wait and see what happens. And obviously, you guys know I'm go Irish all day. I am waiting to see where my Irish end up in this thing because I can't imagine they don't get in now for a few reasons. 1, brand recognition. We got to be real. It's still a business. 2, the fact that every outcome that they needed yesterday happened. BYU blown out. Bama blown out. Ohio State, Indiana didn't really matter to Notre Dame because that's 1 versus 2. So that was irrelevant to the Irish. And then Duke upsets Virginia in the tournament. So they're not going to, as a 5-loss conference title team, they're not going to be ranked highly enough to get in. So everything the Irish needed to break their way has broken their way. So now we sit back and see what it's going to be, man. This has been a hell of a college football season. And I got to say, the last 2 college football seasons, in my estimation, have been the best that I've ever seen. They kept saying that we don't want to expand the playoff because it's going to make the regular season less important. Hell no, this has been fantastic. I love it. I believe it starts at noon, Steve. Yeah.
So what are we going to say about NIL? What do you want to say?
I want to say the fact is this, that once everybody could start paying their players, all of a sudden the SEC doesn't look so dominant anymore because they're not able to have, all Americans 4 positions deep on their roster. So you have the NIL and you have an open transfer portal. It's suddenly not the same. You can't stack the talent the way you used to.
It's interesting to see how the ratings are doing. I haven't really looked, but I mean, ratings have never been a college football related issue, but I'd be curious to see how they're holding up.
They're better on a national level because when the SEC was dominating, it was just in a particular
regional, right?
Go. Yeah, they're better on a national level because now everybody is, more viable. Everybody is more viable for longer into the season, which means more people are watching and you get a playoff. So it only makes sense. Eric Kwan 2458 says, "How good is CJ Carr? CJ Carr
Very
is
good.
Really good. Here's the problem. We will find out how good he is next year when he does not have Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price the best 1-2 combo at running back in the country to lean on.
Yeah, but he's gonna level up. He's gonna get better, and then
so,
they'll have some good players to come in and replace the guys and stuff. So he should be okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it makes it a lot easier when you have that to, as Transformer says, turn around, take that, right? Hand it off, So, yeah. So no, CJ Carr is good, not great, but he could be great. I think Brady Quinn said he could be the best quarterback in Notre Dame history, which is a hell of a statement to make.
Come on, bro. Really? We're going to forget who played quarterback at Notre Dame, bro?
Maybe we're saying at Notre Dame, not necessarily.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Going forward, right? Yeah, no, at Notre Dame. So that's a whole different thing when you get to the next level. Yeah. But okay, guys. You know what? I will take 2 quick calls on the college football championship Saturday. Get your thoughts on that. Get your thoughts on how you think that might play into what ends up happening right now, I guess, and how you think the playoffs may shake out. So, 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. We don't get any calls. I'm up out of here. I'm going to go sit in front of the 86 inch.
Bro, I'm telling you, let's just take the calls next show, bro. We love you guys, but we got things we're trying to get to.
Let's do that. Oh, okay. All right, Chief, sit Bubba's call. We got to.
All right, Chief, it's all good.
What's up, Chief?
What's going on, Bruce?
All right,
hey,
brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Hakeem, my brother.
Salam, what up, Chief? Salute, bro.
Chief, why I don't never get the salam, man? I don't never get salam either, brother.
Hakeem, my brother Bruce.
Hakeem, come on, Hakeem.
Damn.
Hey, man, I feel bad for Steve. If that was my heart goes out to you, man. I was in that game yelling and cussing. Bruce,
bro, hold on. You don't have to. Don't feel bad for me, Chief. I'll tell you why. The team has been cooking all year. It's been a great ride. Yeah. We got to hold L's sometimes. Come on, bro. Nothing's perfect.
Right.
That's perfect. But here's, and I'm doing the numbers. I want Notre Dame to get in there, and I want Notre Dame to play an SEC team because
yes, sir. Me too. Yeah, you already know.
Yeah. Because Bruce, how dare you be besmirching the SEC name and the SEC win?
Hey, look, man, you should be happy. We got your coach up out of there, man. Be happy.
But if you
keep cooking, Chief. Keep cooking.
The numbers, though.
Yes, sir.
I got Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, SEC, Texas Tech, Big 12, Oregon, Pac-12, Ole Miss,
Oregon,
SEC.
Big 10.
Oh, Oregon, Big 10. Big 10, okay. Ole Miss, SEC, right?
Yes, sir.
Texas A&M?
SEC.
Oklahoma Sooners?
SEC. I still don't really consider them SEC, but I get you.
Still feel like Big 12, right?
Yeah. But if you look at it, it's still, if we look at the percentage of it, if I'm a bet man, I like the SEC chances because they got more teams in.
I mean, now, that's why they won.
Where are the best teams?
Huh?
Where are the best teams?
Oh, it's gonna be the Big Ten got the best team.
There you go.
Then what are we talking about?
Hey, but hey, even though you got the best, you still got to go through the gauntlet, man.
If hold on a second, if I know who the best team is,
right,
all the rest don't matter. I don't care how many there are.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
But they still got to go. I think what Chief's saying, they still got to get out there and prove it, though. They got to go do it. You got to
get out there and prove it.
But those teams have been proving it. As they have played the best teams, they continue to prove it.
Yeah. Now you got to finish the job. But I ain't worried about that. I'm saying go Irish, and until they're done, then after that, I'm all Big Ten.
I'm ready for them to get in, too. I'm ready to get in. No, this has just been, man, this has just been a great year for college basketball and, college football. You know, it got my juices flowing, and then and then you guys do a great job on, is that Tuesday night for college football?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if everybody can tune in Tuesday night, boy, it's gonna be a pretty good show.
Well, we're gonna try to go ahead and wrap up the college football regular season tonight, because obviously because normally the reveal is Tuesday night. That's why we do it then. But since it's now, we're gonna try to get back. Yeah, we're gonna try to get back later and go ahead and give some thoughts to that.
Right. Well, so I'm gonna be looking forward, fellas.
Yes,
man, I'm pumped up today.
Yeah, man.
And I'll be seeing y'all tonight.
No doubt, Chief. Thank you so much for the call, brother.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
See you, Chief.
All right, guys, listen, thank you so much for everybody who tuned in. Great turnout today. We really appreciate you. Hit that like and subscribe. And by the way, hype some videos, man. You get 3 of those a week.
Hype them up.
Hype it. You know, hype something on the SMT Media Network. Hype something here and hype something on the Be Ready Sports Podcast. Why does Bruce always do this? Why does he always do this? Why do you always wait till I'm in the middle of the spiel to call? Why you do that all the time?
What up, Brucey?
My bad, man.
You good, man?
I'm at the game, so I'm on the field, nigga.
Okay. Hey, that's what's up. I didn't realize you were there.
Yeah, I'm at the game, so
that's what's up.
So anyway,
yes, sir.
Hey, man. Hey. Yeah, hey. Georgia put BTA to our butts yesterday.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're okay, man.
Okay, man. Didn't I call it? Didn't I call it Indiana game?
No, you didn't.
No, you said Indiana was going to win 27-13. That's not calling it.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
You said 27-13.
Okay, but didn't I say that State wasn't going to have a good game, though? Didn't I say that? Okay.
Yes, but he wasn't terrible. It wasn't a bad.
He played fine. They were in the game.
Jeremiah Smith, where was he? They locked him up.
Bruce, this is what I'm going to say, man. You said Indiana got some dogs and they're going to be just as physical, and you were right about that. So credit due.
And one more thing I'm ready to get off.
What's up, man?
And Notre Dame was sitting home like a pretty little girlfriend while everybody else was fighting for their lives.
Okay. Well, now
the independent, cute girlfriend that don't have to go to war like the true Spartans in ancient Greece against the Persians on 300.
He's pulling a Bruce.
So cute Notre Dame was sitting home with their legs crossed.
Hey,
they had to face no resistance.
Hey, if we get in, that's all that matters, man.
Notre Dame, the independent, cute, bougie girlfriend.
Hey, man, look.
Kardashians.
And if it wasn't for the Big Ten, we tried
multiple
times.
No, you ain't face. Y'all gonna get it on the easy. Y'all got it easy. Y'all ain't had to face nothing.
Easy. All right, you know what? I'm not even going to do this. It's okay.
Yeah, little cute girlfriend, Notre Dame, little pretty bougie girl, independent girlfriend.
Kardashian, bro.
True warriors.
Right.
Fighting for glory yesterday on the field.
Fighting for glory.
Was Notre Dame home hiding in the cave.
Okay.
That's what Notre Dame was at. Hey, man. Yeah, great show, man. I'm ready to get into this game, man.
No doubt, man. Enjoy that for me, man.
Catch y'all later, man.
Yeah, enjoy that for me, man.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Have a great day, man. Enjoy the game, brother.
Yo, that is by far the best call and the worst call we've ever had on the show all at the same time.
Right.
We had Bruce lying, and we had bro, like literally, he's calling the Notre Dame fighting Kardashians. That's what he's saying.
That's what he calls us. All right, Jobo, we are gonna get out of here, man. Y'all enjoy your day. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will be back. Inshallah, we'll be back later this evening, and we out. Peace.